Hello and welcome to the GRADD Dialogue. Today my guest is Roxi Witt. Roxi, a great friend, and actually Roxi and I kind of started about the same time at the GRADD, and I would say that I was proud to even hire Roxi to work at GRADD, or at least some role to play. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Roxi. She just left her dream job, but the way she calls it, that her dream job has been the executive director of Riverpark Center, and she had worked there since before it opened in 1992. She has staged International Bluegrass Music Award Show for 22 years. I remember that the first time. I think you got us into lights or something.
Yes,
yeah, you're
sir.
working to the GRADD and produce a stage manage 6 theater workshop of Owensboro summer musical, and one of them was special since my then young twin daughters were on the show as well. And she has produced 2 Christmas productions, which were double cast with over 180 students each. Overall, Roxi is synonymous with the Riverpark Center. So, Roxi, welcome.
Thank you,
to the GRADD
Jiten.
Dialogue. And let's just start out that people kind of get a big surprise. Roxi wants to retire from Riverpark Center. And things are doing great. The Riverpark Center still continues to be one of the highlights for our region, especially for Owensboro and everything else. A lot of things that happen over the Riverpark Center, and you have probably hand in almost everything that happens at the Riverpark Center, or at least did happen in Riverpark Center. So tell us about Riverpark Center to the audience, to the point that what was some highlights, and what prompted that maybe it was time for a change. So,
Sure. I was really lucky. I was a theater major in college, and then went and got a master's in business administration, but that was like 8 years before Riverpark was even a dream in Owensboro's eye. It was before the grant. So I got out of college twice, and really didn't know what was going to happen. Luckily, I ended up at GRADD, worked there, for about 8 years as economic development director.
Right.
Before they built Riverpark, and I still feel very blessed that Riverpark came about, that the community supported Riverpark and continues to support Riverpark today. Opening was certainly a great highlight. John Denver, Florence Henderson, the Symphony, Dance Theater Workshop. I mean, what a grand night for Owensboro. As folks 27 years later still call it the adult prom, and have a lot of great memories of that. In between then, a whole lot of Broadway, which were always near and dear to my heart. But we also did a lot of educational programs, and that's something that not everybody knows just how involved we were. We bused 20 to 25,000 kids into Riverpark to see performances every year. And that's from throughout the GRADD region, as well as even further. Some from Indiana and Muhlenberg County and some other counties. But they saw everything from Jack and the Beanstalk to Charlotte's Web to the Underground Railroad. And when you really realize that kids really are inspired, and we all learn different ways, and some read a book and get a lot out of it, but there are some kids that history lesson of the Underground Railroad evokes great instincts in them.
Maybe the first time they would have even been exposed to those kind of historical events. And
exactly, and they get interested in it, and they want to know more about it, and on down the road.
And Roxi, you kind of make it sound like everything is so great and so easy and everything else. Knowing what I have with my job and everything else, it is a lot of work that goes behind the scene. For years and years, a lot of stress and a lot of sleepless nights and all that. But we're going to talk about those things. But you mentioned about GRADD. Even though the time that you started working GRADD was almost 30 years ago, But somehow, for you and me, somebody is tied to GRADD, is tied for the life. And that's what the culture, the same thing with the Riverpark Center as well.
Absolutely.
Realized that, when the Riverpark Center was approved, and the grant was given, and built this facility and everything else, and enjoyed that premier art and culture facility in the state of Kentucky. Now, to me, your success has been that since then, a lot of things have changed. That the face of the downtown has totally changed. There are so much competition, for the people's time and resources and attention too. But you have made the River Park to stay as the premier spot.
Well, thank you. It is the heart of Owensboro,
right.
And it is for everybody. And we made a very conscious decision from the very beginning to make sure, or to do everything we could to make sure that people really felt comfortable in the Riverpark Center. Yes, sometimes you get dressed up and and all your fancy duds, but you also can come in your khakis and button downs to the Taste of Owensboro or to other performance events if you want. We want you there. That's the important thing. It is the community's building, and it's one of the things over the years, quite honestly, because there are people that still think that it should be managed by the city or somebody else. But it's so important that it be the community's building. The community. Right. We had the largest fundraising campaign ever at the time, capital campaign. Over $11 million were raised. People have given and given and continue to give to the Riverpark Center to make it successful. Now, do we have enough money? No, we never do. Nobody ever does. But we have been, successful, and things like scholarship fund that go along with our education program, so that everybody can come, no matter whether they can afford it or not.
And you guys do play, or sometimes I talk like you were still the director there.
I do too, Jiten.
However, it's until they name the new director, in our mind, you are the Riverpark Center anyway. But I think until not only that, the Riverpark Center still has and continues to play a player in trying to bring the people to town.
Absolutely.
And great cooperation among the other players.
Well, it is funny that, you could look at my history, my work history, and say economic development and Riverpark and what do they have in common or whatever.
Right.
Well, but the reality is, you and I know for sure that when a company comes to town, and if you can find land, if there's utilities, and those kinds of things are in place, what the ultimate decision comes down to is where do they want to live?
Right.
And that comes down to things like Riverpark. Not only Riverpark, certainly. Education, crime, exactly, but it's overall quality of life. Where do they want to live? So, I still felt very tied to economic development and enjoyed, those relationships and doctors that were looking whether they wanted to locate here, to work at our new hospital and that sort of thing. Many times, Riverpark Center is certainly on the list, if not the first place that folks come to.
And I think, I agree with that, with not only the Broadway, but the community events. I don't know if we have utilized, or at least participated in graduation events, or any of the dance events, or even to the point of having other connected facility like a symphony and everything. The list kind of goes on and on. So most everybody has been to the Riverpark Center and has a great memory of that. Every time I bring people from outside, could be from Kentucky or from Czech Republic, always the one stop is Riverpark Center. I have Roxi explain the tremendous history beyond that. Talking about the historical thing in your life anyway, recently, GRADD Board of Directors at their annual meeting, the 51st annual meeting, chose you to receive a regional citizenship award in the honor of Mr. Charles Reed. So tell us about, how do you feel about that? I know that you were well qualified to get the award, but kind of connecting Charles Reed and getting an award for your work in town.
Absolutely. I was really honored and humbled by receiving that award. Charlie Reed was the chair of the revolving loan fund program when I worked at GRADD, and Charlie was a banker. He happened to have started Independence Bank eventually, but at this time he was still working at Providence State Bank. So he really, you know, represents the whole region. And you know, one of the things that he taught me when we were working together was we're looking at a loan application, and he said, "Roxy, it's awfully easy to turn down a loan application. Anybody can find a reason to say no. It's finding a reason to say yes that takes the hard work." And that's what we need to be in the business of doing. And you know, that really worked with my positive mentality, and so we got along very, very well. And the award means to me that we must have had some degree of success in making Riverpark more than just for the elite and more than just for Owensboro and Davis County, that it really is for the whole.
And I'll 100% agree with you that. I think Charlie and Mitzi both used to serve on the GRADD board while you were at GRADD as well. But also that for the GRADD board, but the regional, 7-county regional body to select somebody for, like you know, who ran the Riverpark Center, kind of also shows that your efforts and influence that affected, it goes beyond Davis County.
Exactly.
So that's really a great honor for us as well. So
well, absolutely, and that's one of the things that I learned at GRADD too. You know, in those early years about working with all the different personalities in all the different areas and the elected officials, and it was pretty good training for working with a board of directors for 27 years.
Talking about 27 years or so, now what is your advice to the young generation or young people coming into the public sectors, or even any kind of, you know, thinking about the lifelong
Well,
dreams?
as I mentioned earlier, you know, if you look back, you know, it looks like my career had a nice straight path and it made perfect sense and all that. But it didn't feel like that when I was doing it, I can assure you. And you know, there were bumps in the road and that kind of thing. But you know, the deal was I chose to have a good attitude and to enjoy the journey on the road. And so, like those 8 years that I was at GRADD, that wasn't my dream come true job. But I still enjoyed coming to work every day. I still wanted to make a difference. I still wanted to do a good job. And I was also able to do some other extra things in the community that I thought might help me get where I wanted to be. But even if they didn't, they were sure fun while I was doing it, like the summer musicals and those kinds of things. So you know, that's what I would say. You know, you gotta give it your all while you can, but enjoy the journey, because that's all we're guaranteed.
So Roxy, now since you've accomplished your dream job very successfully, so what is in the future for Roxi Witt?
You know, friends, family, enjoying the time. I'm saying yes to a lot of things that I didn't used to say yes to nearly as often, whether it's playing cards or going on a church lunch trip or, you know, whatever. And so I'm trying to do a lot of that, and I'm going to do some traveling. I'm lucky enough to still have my father at 96 years old, so I'm spending some time with him, and you know, so I'm blessed, and I'm very, very lucky.
It's been great been working with you, not only, you know, as a colleague when you were a grad for 8 years, but also for 22 years. Every time I see you, is always that connection that doesn't go away.
Well, and you have that direct connection to the symphony too, so we, you know,
so
it's been great.
Yeah, well, wish you best of luck, and
Thank you very
hopefully you may hear, you know, call. So think about, you know, when the yes comes in, put on the yes column there, you know. So because I think, you know, with your experience and your attitude, and you know, thinking about creating partnership and everything else as a rare commodity that people are gonna be looking for, you know, for the advantage as well. So
I'm open to any ideas.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
We've been talking to Roxi Witt, who recently retired from the Riverpark Center CEO. And she's been talking about her experience as a 22 years as a CEO, and as well as time at GRADD, and also getting an award from the GRADD as a regional citizenship award in the name of Charlie Reed. Again, if you have questions or comments, so you can always contact me at the GRADD office, 926-4433, and have a great day.